Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. So here I want to show you how you can get above 300% movement speed. With this setup we can actually get upwards of 340%. That is temporarily, but still a crazy amount of movement speed for what it is. You can absolutely move faster than mounts with just sitting on over 185% standing still. And if you're like a fighter and you run, you can get even more movement speed buffs, upwards of like 225%. We can use our shield with some other abilities and get over like 300%. Which means, yes, you can basically run around faster than if you were to be on your mount. Your mount movement speed is 30% if you have this boon, and then just 140% with gallop. So with us just standing here at 185%, we are, faster than if we were to mount up. I done some time tests with that and it is indeed correct. You can run around faster than if you were on a mount, which again is pretty cool. Now fighter will be able to get even more movement speed buffs, but you can get to this point on any other class as well. So let's go over all of these different abilities we're using. And we start with a boon here, which can give you like 12.5% when you put 5 points into it. You can have a stronghold boon giving 10%. You can have your enchantment, which will give you 18%. You can run with the insignia bonus gladiator's guile, 3 of them giving 17.5%. You can get a temporary boost with shepherd's devotion for another 15% after you use the daily power. You can use your mount equip power here, giving you 6%. Then a unified collar giving another 5%. Then dexterity, we've stacked up 34 points. That's 8.5%. We have the companion Diana the acrobat summoned to give us 10%, with her enhancement giving us 5% constantly. Then we also have our equip bonus giving us 3.8%, plus Category giving us like 4.7%. But you could actually use her for just 3.8% and use the Dragonbone Grill Master. I don't have that, so we just have Regis to boost Category up to 4.7%. We've got like Lord of the Wilderness for another 3.8%. The Icosahedron Ironstone for another 7.5%. Although this one is bugged to continually fall off, so you have to keep re-equipping it. Super annoying. Then we have some gear. This shirt giving us 1.5%. It'll even give us more movement speed if we drop below 15% stamina, but we're not accounting for that. These pants give us 5%, and then these boots give us 7%. You can run like the magma weapons if you're within like fire theme maps for 10%, or you could run like Celerum for 10% in wild space, or even Void Touch for 12% in wild space. We currently have these howling weapons, which are a temporary like movement speed boost of 50% every 10 seconds, and it works super well on fighter here with their already forge ahead ability, which gives them another 50%. So you're gaining like 100% movement speed temporarily there, and you absolutely notice it. And then for like consumables, you can use a Scroll of Fate from like your Winter Festival. That'll give you 15%. You can use a Guild Food, Sambucade giving you 5%. And you can use a Potion of Speed for like 20%. These are super rare though, and I would hope they would return somewhere in the game. Maybe like Day of the Dungeon Master or Appointment Vendor or something. You can then also use like the Wheel of Elements for a temporary boost. And if you're a fighter, you can use Into the Fray for 20%, Momentum for 20%, Greater Endurance for 10%, Marathon Runner for 10%, and all of that you can see will add up to like 390% temporary movement speed. Like the more reliable movement speed you'll have all of the time is going to be like 165% for any class. And then you would get like, if you're a fighter, your greater endurance for 10%, marathon runner for 10%, and that way you're just standing around at 185% like we are right here. And if we just move for 2 seconds, we get momentum, which gets us to 205%. use Into the Fray and we can be already at 225%. We can use then our Forge Ahead with our Howling Weapons for another 100%. And we could then even use the Wheel of Elements for another 50%. And that's why you end up with, yeah, 390% temporary movement speed. But the more permanent movement speed is around like 180%, which is a bit faster than what you can get with your mount, which is pretty cool when you consider dungeons where you can't even mount up and you're not even sacrificing that much to use these abilities. Just sure, a few insignia bonuses, some gear pieces here which you can even decide not to use, but the main thing is these equip bonuses. In all practicality, you wouldn't use them, as you would lose quite a bit of damage versus having like your Neverwinter Knight, Bitiri, Tamed Raptor, or Spine Devil. But Diana, sure, you could use. Enduring Alacrity, you could use. There's of course some speedrun strategies where you need to just get past enemies where this will work. But for the most part, I hope this helps just to highlight what you can use to increase your movement speed if you want to. In general, I don't really prioritize it very much. You maybe get like 50% to 80%, and that's generally comfortable enough for most content. In most cases, you just don't need much more. Using these consumables like the Scrolls of Fate and Potions of Speed are not really practical. They can be just too expensive for like general use. Samblocade though, absolutely one you can use all the time if you get enough guild marks, which should be very easy at this point. I just showed a video where you can spend the equivalent of like 100 gold and get nearly 1,000,000 guild marks, at least in the ×2 event. Half that outside of the ×2 event, but still that's a crazy amount and should easily fund you all the guild marks you need for all that buff food if you wanted it. Just be aware again, you can get the Dragonbone Grill Master instead of like Regis as we have slotted here for more movement speed. And overall there might be 1 or 2 bonuses that I do miss. Absolutely feel free to leave it in the comments below if you've got something else that I left out here to give a decent amount of movement speed reliably. I'm sure there's a few more other items like a belt item, a horn that can give you like a teeny bit of a boost to movement speed very temporarily, but I think those things are a little bit too out there and too one-off to really be that useful. But sure, if you have anything of note you'd like to mention, you can leave that in the comments below. This is what I found fairly easily put together, and yeah, we can obtain some crazy amount of movement speed. Hopefully that's somewhat insightful. Thank you for watching, and a special thank you to all these channel members for your extra support. Consider leaving the video a like, and if you're new around here, consider subscribing. I'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.